Beast. I'm here with my boy Jeremy. We're here to present you our MLB On Deck segment for Thursday, May 30th. If you're new to this channel, please make sure and click the subscribe button below. This you can watch all of our MLB, NBA, NFL videos. And if you haven't came and checked out our website here at dfscheatsheet.com, you're absolutely missing out. We have all the tools to help you compete with the pros day in and day out, including a complete optimizer, tons of content, daily FanDuel, and DraftKings cash lineups. Hey, we're truly a one-stop shop for all your DFS needs. So make sure you come check out the site here at dfscheatsheet.com. So, hey, what up, Jay? How you doing out there, bro?
Yo, what's up, man? Not bad, not bad.
Another Thursday. Yep, Thursday. We're almost to the weekend. Yesterday, had a little bit too much exposure to Coors Field. You talked about it a little bit on our video earlier in the day yesterday that you weren't really feeling it too much. And Coors Field is one of those tricky things because it's like you're kind of damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. You don't want to be the guy that didn't play Coors Field and miss out. But when you do fade Coors Field and it's a low scoring game, you definitely get an edge. So, hey, it is what it is. I'm ready to bounce back today and kind of get it going.
Yeah, I mean, you just look, the one thing that I'm going to mention is you have to take the weather into consideration across the country when you're talking about Coors Field on a slate. If Coors Field weather is equal to other spots, then you have to get Coors Field exposure. But if there's other spots where the weather's better and Coors Field is cold like this time of year, you don't have to get exposure to Coors Field unless it's just two absolute gas cans that are throwing there and the numbers tell you like these guys are going to get hit hard. Okay, fine. But when you got Robbie Ray, and one thing I said in the Deep Dive podcast yesterday was I would consider stacking up Robbie Ray and 4 Arizona Diamondbacks before I stacked up the Rockies. So I would have probably even been wrong if I would have done it. You know what I mean? But I just didn't feel it. I didn't like the weather there. The wind was blowing in. It was very cold. And I mean, it is what it is. You look at today's game, it's a little bit different in this early slate. The weather's still going to be low 60s, but it's sunny. The wind's blowing out. It's going to be warm. 60 degrees in the sun is a lot different than 58 degrees at night.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I'm ready to jump into it, talk some baseball for today. If you're ready to go, we could kind of get going. As always, this video is more just of an overview of just kind of things that are standing out to us earlier in the day. If you want a more in-depth analysis on today's slate, make sure to check out the site. We have 5 or 6 other different content pieces up. A couple videos, a couple articles on the site for MLB. Plus on the weekends, we have PGA, MMA, NASCAR. Hey, we got it all. Make sure to check it out. Get your 14-day free trial at dfscheatsheet.com. And yeah, man, let's go. So I'm going to start with bats, and then you can round it off with pitchers as we usually do it. I'm going to start with the Dodgers. I like the Dodgers today. This series as a whole has been very high scoring. You were mentioning it. The Mets have been on fire. The Dodgers as well. There's been a lot of runs going down in this series. The Dodgers, they get a matchup today against Jason Vargas. Gives up a 51% hard contact rate, 259 ISO to lefties, 205 ISO to righties. Dodgers as a team, they have a 181 team ISO. There's definitely some guys you want to target on the Dodgers. First, I'm going to start with the lefty mashers. You're looking at Kiki Hernandez, David Freese. Turner, he's more of a reverse splits guy, but he can hit lefties pretty good as well. I like those 3 righties in the Dodgers lineup. And then you want to throw in some lefties because Vargas is giving a 259 ISO up to lefties. We're looking at Bellinger, been, killing the ball. Seager starting to pick it up a little bit. Of course, Seager's definitely in play. You can look at Verdugo or you can look at Muncy, whoever one of those guys is in the lineup. They're going to throw another lefty in there. I think that those guys are in play as well. I really like the Dodgers today. I think the Dodgers are a really, really good team to target on today's slate.
One thing that I want to mention, bro, about the Dodgers is David Freese power numbers this year are actually reverse splits. He has a much higher ISO against right-handed pitching than he does against left-handed pitching. And the guy that I think you need to consider who's really getting hot right now is Chris Taylor. I'd look for Chris Taylor to be in the lineup today against the lefty. They'll probably have Kiki lead off. I think Chris Taylor will kind of sandwich that lineup down at the bottom. But David Freese, a guy, yeah, he's a good play against lefties. They put him in the lineup against lefties. But David Freese only a 190 ISO against lefties. He has over a 240 ISO against righties. So he's kind of a reverse splits guy. I think that the Dodgers are heavy with analytics. They'll figure that out. But Chris Taylor is the guy that I will be looking to put in my lineups He hit a home run on Tuesday night. I think he had an extra base hit as a pitch hitter on Monday night, and then last night I believe he had an extra base hit as a pitch hitter as well. So Chris Taylor's the one guy I think he's heating up. He's the one guy in their lineup that's really made a commitment to getting the ball in the air. If you look at him in his batting stance, his hands are even kind of cocked in his stance, like before he even does anything. His hands are kind of cocked so he can elevate the ball. So Chris Taylor's the guy. That's the one guy that I think that I will be looking to get the exposure to. The problem that you have to mention all the time with the Dodgers is when it's a lefty and Kiki is playing, you probably only get 2 at bats. When it's a righty and Jock's playing, you got to look at the bullpen and see who's coming out of that pen, and am I going to get more than 2 at bats? Because Dave Roberts flops these guys the second the starting pitcher goes out and their spot comes back up. He will pitch hit for either Kiki or Jock. So Chris Taylor guy I think will stay in the game, and I kind of give a little advantage to Chris Taylor over Kiki.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I like Chris Taylor for sure. The only thing is so what do they do? So I'm going to be honest, I haven't really watched too many Dodger games because Kiki's at second. So do they put Chris Taylor at second and then put Jock in the outfield?
Chris Taylor will play. I mean, he'll play everywhere. So are you talking about when they pitch hit?
Yeah.
No, I mean, what they'll do is if Chris Taylor stays in the game, Chris Taylor will stay in the game in the outfield. And he will go to second base, and then Jock Peterson will go to the outfield. That's exactly what they'll do. And then when Kiki starts the game and Jock pitch hits for him, they'll move. They'll move accordingly that way. But you're only going to get There's a high percentage you're only going to get 2 at bats.
Right, 2 to 3 max.
Right.
I get you. When we want 4 to 5, I got you completely. Moving on, next team I'm going to be looking at, I like the Texas Rangers at home. We've been talking about this ballpark. It's starting to get really hot in Texas. Got the wind blowing out. I think this is a good spot for the Rangers. They get a matchup against Jacob Jonas, who gives up a 40% hard contact rate, 182 ISO to lefties, 200 ISO to righties. And then Texas as a team, they have a 214 team ISO. I think that you can look at both sides of the plate. For sure, for the Rangers, I mean, I'm going to start with the lefties first. I think that, the lefties they have the power numbers are really with the lefties. So, I'm going to look at, Gallo, Mazzara, Chu, Odor. The lefty stack I think is nice, but also with the righties, you could come back around with Hunter Pence. Hunter Pence is playing very, very well this season, kind of rejuvenated his career. I think he's definitely in play. Logan Forsythe, if he's in the top of that order, batting in that 2-hole, he's definitely in play as well. And then Osubro Cabrera, he's a guy that's definitely hit or miss, but he has a little bit of upside, man. Last time I mentioned Cabrera, he had a double dong day, and I'm not saying that's going to happen today, but he is a sneaky guy that whenever you're looking at Texas, you do want to get him in a couple of stacks because he does have a little bit of upside, especially in this ballpark where it's going to be really, really hot. While I'm in Texas, I really like this hitting environment today. I'm going to kind of go on the flip side real quick with the Kansas City Royals. They get a matchup against Mike Minor, 37% hard contact rate. Mike Minor gives up a 210 ISO to lefties, 176 ISO to righties. And then, the thing about Kansas City is that as a team, they have a low team ISO. It's only 122, but they do have some guys that have a little bit of pop. And I will mention as well is Mike Minor is not necessarily somebody that I really, really want to target. He's been pitching very well in the season, but we have some weather concerns. There's some other spots that I'm liking, but I don't know. We just mentioned it, the Boston and New York game. I don't know if that game's going to play. I think that game's probably going to get canceled due to weather. The Milwaukee and Pittsburgh game as well, that one's looking iffy with weather as well. So if you take those 2 games off the slate, we're really, really starting to narrow down the pool. So I think that you definitely could look at the Royals in Texas, a good hitting environment against Mike Minor. The main guys I'm going to be looking at for them, I mean, we're looking at Whit Merrifield. Probably their best hitter on their team right now. The guy's been playing very, very well the past couple years. The young guy, Mondesi, Alex Gordon, swinging a solid bat. And you can look at Hunter Dozier. I'm really looking at 1 through 4 in the lineup for the Royals. I think they're in play. the guy Nicky Lopez, if he's up in the lineup, you could consider him. If you want to do, I said I like the top 4 of the lineup. You could even go Nicky Lopez, Billy Hamilton, wrap it around with the Merrifield Mondesi, or you can go Billy Hamilton and go 1, 2, 3. There's some ways that you could do it, but I like both sides of this game. I just think it's a really good hitting environment. There's going to be some runs put up, and with the pool of players starting to get narrowed down due to weather, you got to pick some spots, and I think that you can definitely look at both sides.
I would have the absolute opposite approach that you're talking about in this game. Mike Minor, not a guy that I want to target against. You take a look at Kansas City, like you said, as a team, they have, I think you said, a 140 ISO overall. But Whit Merrifield is really the only guy that I would look to get exposure to in a one-off situation. And maybe if I was doing a 2-man mini stack, I would add Jorge Soler. Jorge Soler has been outstanding for Kansas City this year. I know there's Mondesi and Gordon, and you're talking about Billy Hamilton and all these other guys, but this is the second time Mike Minor is going to face his team. He's going to make adjustments. He had 30 fantasy points the first time he faced them. The weather is actually not going to be that. It's not like the normal situations that, where you're looking at Texas being 85, 90 degrees with the wind blowing in at 20 miles per hour from right field, and we know it has the boomerang effect there. There's hardly going to be any wind today. It's only going to be in the low 80s. I think that this is a really good opportunity for Mike Minor. I don't mind getting Kansas City exposure, but I would get Kansas City exposure. Whit Merrifield with over a 300 ISO against left-handed pitching, and then Soler with a 196 ISO against left-handed pitching. The rest of the guys in this lineup, I don't have a lot of interest in, and I'm probably one of the only guys that stacks Kansas City up and talks about Kansas City on a normal everyday night. To me, Kansas City's in play almost every night against right-handed pitching. Don't like him at all in this spot.
Yeah, no, I like Merrifield for sure. Definitely, he's my favorite player on KC side of things. Moving on, next team I'm going to be looking at, I like the Cleveland Indians going against Manny Banuelos. He gives up a 32% hard contact rate, 231 ISO to lefties, 283 ISO to righties. Cleveland as a team, man, they have a really low team ISO of 132. But, I mean, they're starting to get healthy again. They're starting to get their guys back. And, they have some all-stars that have kind of struggled to start the season, starting to swing a little bit better bats. I mean, you're looking at, Francisco Lindor, Jason Kipnis comes in pretty good price if he's going to be in that 2-hole, Carlos Santana, and then Jose Ramirez. I like those 4 guys. That's the four guy stack that I'm looking for, on the Cleveland side of things. I think that they're in a good spot as well. Lastly, I'm going to look at Seattle going against Pena. I think this is a solid spot for Seattle. They have I think it's a 220 team ISO. As a team, they get a matchup against Pena, who gives up a 42% hard contact, 198 ISO versus lefties, 140 ISO versus righties. So we definitely want to target him with the lefties in this lineup. We're looking at, I'll start with Kyle Seager. I think Kyle Seager is a really, really good play. Malik Smith, if he's going to be in the top of that order. Also, Vogelbach is a lefty, correct?
Yes.
Yes, Vogelbach, he's been showing some massive power upside. And then if you're looking to kind of get a stack, you could throw in a Haniger, Encarnacion, possibly a Domingo Santana. But yeah, I mean, that's really where I'm at. So just kind of, and I just want to throw out there, I did like Boston against Happ a little bit. I like Milwaukee a little bit against Musgrove. But like I said, I just don't think that those games are going to play today. So just to kind of round it off again, I like the Dodgers, Texas, Cleveland, Seattle, and throw in a little bit of KC. That's kind of where I'm at. I know you like the Mets a little bit today as well, right?
I know the Indians, if you look solely at like BVP numbers, I know they have some good BVP against Manny Banuelos. And the only reason I know that is because I remember the day game that he pitched and they got like 7 runs in the first inning off of him. But as a whole on the season, this Indians team is in absolute shambles. And I know they scored some runs yesterday, but they're talking about trading Francisco Lindor, Jose Ramirez with a 093 ISO. The power numbers aren't there. I'm not saying don't stack Cleveland today. I'm just saying be careful in stacking Cleveland. And I do agree with you. When the player pool starts to shrink because a couple of games get eliminated, you got to look in other spots. I would just be really careful about my Jose Ramirez exposure because he's not the same player he's been in the past. He looks lost. He looks like Noah Syndergaard pitching. If you watched the Dodger game last night, Syndergaard has no idea why his slider doesn't work. He's lost. He's just perplexed. Ramirez looks like that at the plate. He's got no idea why he keeps hitting the ball off the end of the bat. He just 093 ISO. They're talking about trading Lindor. Lindor is the one guy that I would definitely want to get exposure to, but the other guy would be Santana. I would want to stack up Santana and Lindor against Banuelos, and I'd probably do the Indians in two-man mini stacks as well. I think it's good exposure. You're right, but as a whole, I wouldn't want Jose Ramirez with a 3 in my lineup if the Indians go off and it's really just two guys.
Yeah, no, for sure. Pitching-wise, man, I mean, what are you looking at pitching-wise?
Look, don't be surprised tonight if the Mets put up 6 runs. Don't be surprised, okay? But don't be surprised on the flip side of it if there's a quality start. And the reason I'm saying that is you've got to look at these ISO numbers from Hechavarria, from Pete Alonso, from J.D. Davis, from Michael Conforto, Todd Frazier. Todd Frazier's starting to find his form again. Like, they've got 3 guys with ISOs over 275, and 2 of them have ISOs over 300 against left-handed pitching. You look at this, what they've done coming into this series, they'd won 7 straight, including sweeping Washington, and then they've played the Dodgers tough in every night. Basically, last night, I was actually at a game, bro, about 7 years ago, maybe 8 years ago. It may have been longer than that. I think it was my daughter's 12, so it was about 13 years ago at Dodger Stadium. They went to the bottom of the ninth. They were down by 4 runs. They're down by 3 runs. They hit 4 solo shots back to back to win the game. I literally thought that was going to happen last night because you had Jock. He starts hitting off with a bomb. Then Muncy goes back to back with him. And then Turner smashes the ball down left field line for a double. Bellinger doubles. So the bullpen gave it up. But the Mets as a whole, they still scored 8 runs. They put 10 hits up against Kershaw. We know Kershaw is probably not the same pitcher he's been in years past, but it's still Clayton Kershaw. And then, they played really game in the Tuesday game as well. So I like the Mets. I like the Mets a lot. It's very contrarian. I don't think people own them. You look at the pitching options on the slate. Martin Perez is pitching in Tampa Bay. That's probably an option. But excuse me, outside of Carlos Carrasco, I hate loading this guy up because of his contact numbers and his ISO against both sides of the plate. But his strikeout upside against the White Sox is definitely there. I also think that a White Sox 3-man stack against him is not bad with like Jose Abreu, Yan Mercado, those guys hitting right-handed pitching really, really well right now. So it's really difficult to figure the pitching out on this slate. You're going to play Charlie Morton against the Twins where every single person in that lineup has over a 220 ISO right now. Very difficult to play Morton in that spot. I think one of the best spots to look at, unfortunately, the guy he provides no strikeout upside is Kikuchi. The Angels have a 15% K rate. They don't strike out. So you try to find out on this slate, where's the upside at? And the guy I go back to is Mike Minor. There's not very, the ISOs aren't very high. He's got a ton of strikeout upside, throwing the changeup and the cutter extremely well this season. Carrasco, he's got a ton of upside, but he's going to have to navigate through the heart of this order who's on fire right now. Leroy Garcia is on fire. Abreu is on absolute fire. So I don't like that either. You look at Ryu, ton of strikeout upside. Mets got 4 guys with over 250 ISOs, 3 of them with over 275 and 2 over 300. Tough to say Ryu's in a really great spot at 11,000. So, I look at Martin Perez. I think the strikeout upside is there against the Rays. That's Chris Sale. This game's going to play, which right now it doesn't look like it's going to. He's even in a tough matchup. He's in a tough matchup. J.A. Happ, you want to load him up? Pitching's a mess on this slate, and
I'm starting to learn quickly that there's nothing really clear cut today.
There's nothing that's clear cut on this slate. Are there guys that are in good spots? Yeah, if you look, Ryu's probably in a good spot. There's some strikeout potential in that Mets lineup, but you're talking about a team that coming into this Dodgers series had won, I think, 7 of 8, including a sweep of the Nats after we had talked about they're going to fire their manager. Robbie Cano's not running out ground balls. They got swept by the Marlins in Miami. It was a mess. They come home, they sweep the Nationals, they sweep the Tigers, and then they roll into Dodger Stadium and, they get all over Clayton Kershaw. So, is Ryu safe today? I wouldn't say he's safe. Is Carrasco safe? Yesterday, go back to the Houston series, the Chicago White Sox series against Houston. They got all over Garrett Cole. I would say Garrett Cole's got more K upside and better stuff than Ryu does, wouldn't you?
Yeah. For
I mean,
sure.
they got all over him for 8 runs. Remember, I mean, they got all over him. So, and it's the same guys. They've got these 3 right-handed bats. Leroy Garcia is heating up, but Eloy Jimenez is a guy that a lot of people probably don't know anything about. He's really hot. You got Abreu really hot, Moncada really hot, Leroy Garcia heating up, and it's all against right-handed pitching. And here they go against Carrasco, who they just faced, I think, a week and a half ago. So, I don't think any of these guys are safe. My money, I don't think tonight's a cash game slate. I would tell you that right now. I don't think that there's a safe cash game pitcher that you could throw out there. I don't think there is.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely with you. So, with that being said, hey man, it sounded like you got to check out the site. Check out Jeremy's deep dive video. I'll have my core plays up, five cash game locks for today's slate up. We got a bunch of different stuff up. So if you need more of a clear-cut view on today's slate, make sure to check out the site, dfscheatsheet.com. And hey man, outside of that, good luck on your guys' contest tonight, and peace out.